Mark Carney defeated Conservative candidate Pierre Paul in the election for Canadian Prime Minister, and you need to hear what he has to say about America and President Trump in this moment from his acceptance speech. Also, MSNBC's Chuck Todd went on an absolutely deranged rant over how it was not the media's fault for not reporting on the mental state and decline of Joe Biden. They were fooled by the White House and Democrat leaders, and this was not a media failure. And finally, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent joined Caroline Leavitt to address the press as Amazon is putting tariff prices next to prices for items now. Leavitt destroys them for it here. I'm Zach Costello.
It was reported this morning that Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Look at this graphic from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and look at the consumer price index under Joe Biden. Remember that the Democrat stimulus package, which gave out all of those checks to Americans, passed in March of 2021. All of us have been paying higher prices on everything, yet no price next to the price, showing the consequences of Democrat policies. Trump and Leavitt are right on. This is a hostile political act on the part of Amazon, a company in bed with the Chinese, something we should all consider. Speaking of things getting hostile, MSNBC's Chuck Todd refuses to take media accountability for the covering of Joe Biden's mental decline. This is crazy. Watch this.
This is not a media failure. This is a failure of the Democratic Party. And I just sort of the virtue signaling that some people have done to try to say that the media missed this story. They didn't miss this story. So, David Ignatius wrote, I just refuse to accept this stupid premise because it's a manufactured right-wing premise in order to stain the media. The media's got plenty of things to attack them for, and there are MSNBC and CNN and pundits that absolutely carried water for Joe Biden, but they're not journalists. They're former strategists that carried water for Joe Biden. The journalist, David Ignatius, wrote a very high-profile column in October of 23 saying, is he really running again? This doesn't seem like a good idea. People like me were promoting Dean Phillips's campaign because he was running
Wall Street Journal did a bunch of coverage.
Sense. So it's not like this. This isn't WMDs, where the White House worked with the mainstream media to manufacture a story that did not exist. That was a press failure, massive press failure. This was not that failure. This is an attempt by some to virtue signal, and it's this horrible sort of pitting different news organizations against each other when ultimately the people at fault are Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Jill Biden, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, every elected member of Congress.
Nope. Stop. Those individuals that he just mentioned there, Pelosi, Biden, Schumer, the Democrats, they have you and the networks that you work for, MSNBC, ABC, CNN, in their back pockets. You report their agenda. You do what they say. And this is why the American people don't trust you. And this dodging of blame, it's not our fault technique. Just stop it. You lied to us. You didn't tell the truth. You didn't speak truth to power as you say that you do. The purpose of a free press is to hold the government to account. The purpose of a free press is to root out the government lying to us. That is literally our only job, and you failed to do so. And this is precisely why alternative media figures like me are getting traction. People want the truth, or at least truth seeking. Not this garbage. And finally, speaking of garbage, Pierre Paul's political campaign for Prime Minister of Canada. He blew a massive lead in what might be one of the most historic political campaign collapses of all time and is getting a lot of heat for failing to fight for Canadians. This viral post, I think, says it best. Poilievre was elected to government office at 25 years old. This has been his only career. Grandstanding, no fighting spirit. He fumbled the easiest bag in modern political history. Yes, what Canada needs is their Donald Trump, a fighter capable of galvanizing young conservatives, young people, and stirring a movement, not a career politician who sold out to the libs. Instead, they got this. Listen to him threaten America and then tell everyone what he is going to do when he sees President Trump next.
Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The system of open global trade, anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons.
But you're going to take us forward.
We have to look out for ourselves. And above all, we have to take care of each other. When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between two sovereign nations. And it will be with our full knowledge that we have many, many other options than the United States to build prosperity for all Canadians.
Newsflash, everyone, in America and around the world. Yes, it is over. The United States is done with the progressive globalist agenda, ruining great countries and people's lives all around the world. We decided here in America that we want nothing to do with that, and elected not only President Trump, but a complete conservative government in our country. Canada, go. To where? Europe? China? Keep going down this progressive globalist path. It only leads to destruction, and you had an opportunity to change the course of your country, and you didn't. I'm Zach Costello.